The Minecraft world record you're watching right now is impossible to beat, and out of hundreds of thousands of players, it is tied by only 3 people. You see, Minecraft bridging is reaching a human limit, and the only way to beat these record times is by cheating. Or at least that's what we thought. Over the past 2 months, one player has gone above and beyond all expectations and managed to secure the world record in every single mode at the same time, beating allegedly impossible times, and performing strategies that have quite literally never been seen before. This is the story of the best bridger in Minecraft history. A little over 2 months ago, a player named crimssel developed a strategy that allowed him to gain momentum as he did his speed tellies. As he began to use the strategy to break the world record times, players noticed that one thing was off. This whole time, crimssel had been hiding his keystrokes in order to make sure that no other players knew what he was doing, and players quickly began to realize that without the help of crimssel leaking his own strategy, there was no way anyone was going to be able to catch up. And this actually was the case for quite a while, because crimssel didn't seem to be leaking his strategy and wanted to get another record time before he decided to leak it. But of course, with the entire community pressuring him, he decided to cave in and finally leaked his strategy, which I'm gonna be honest, was a big mistake. Instantly, every bridger in the community, everyone I was talking to, absolutely every bridger that was at that top level was trying out his new strategy and doing nothing else. And it didn't take long for players to catch on and realize that the method wasn't all that difficult. And even though by this point several players had already learned the strategy, one player stood out far beyond the others, and his name is Geklow. Geklow has been one of the top bridgers in the community for well over a year at this point, but has somehow never quite hit the main spotlight. As he began to develop doing this strategy, he quickly caught up to crimssel, as did others such as doogile, but when doogile suddenly decided that he didn't enjoy bridging anymore, that left Geklow in a very promising position. And trust me, he did not want to pass that up. Geklow was grinding at this point well over 400 hours every single day. Okay, maybe not that much. But the point was he was grinding. It quickly came to the attention of others that gaining momentum with his speed tellies wasn't the only thing he was working on, as he was simultaneously practicing a bridging method that had been mastered by no players in history. And this is of course the 4-block chained flat. This bridging method is equivalent in speed to a tap speed telly, but because your player is flat the entire time, it means that there's less fall time between you and the very end of the bridge, which brings great potential for even faster times. Before Geklow, the only player to ever really do this was a player named Dribbly, but his skills were nothing compared to what Geklow was now able to perform, and Geklow started to use this strategy to get some really insane times, such as 3.85 on short mode with 3 chain 4 blocks, and what's far more impressive is he managed to tie the world record on normal mode with a 7.3 by mixing these flat tellies into his regular speed tellies, as opposed to doing them all at once, which is something that no one had ever seen before. And when I say Geklow tied the 7.3 world record, I mean he tied his own world record, a time no player's ever gotten before, and he got it again with a completely different strategy. At this point, Geklow had taken over regular bridging modes with a 7.3 on normal mode and a 3.8 on short mode, which tied crimssel's world record, and whether or not 3.8 is beatable or if it's the maximum human limit is still something that's heavily debated, but I'm gonna let Geklow explain that.
Theoretically, 3.75 is possible with 4-block speeds or a 5-block flat. If you do the 5-speed double clutch or the editor, you can make it 3.75.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll be possible. I don't think anyone will do it.
To my knowledge, there's nobody out there that can do those really, is that true?
Yeah. Doogile got the closest and he wasn't really that close to it, so.
Yeah, doogile sucks. And as Geklow already had 2 world records under his belt, he had conquered half the modes on mcplayhd.net, but as we know, he didn't stop there. And speaking of not stopping, I'm going to try to build the world's longest Minecraft bridge, and for every subscriber this video gets, I'll place 1 block. But anyways, back to the video. Geklow quickly began to conquer the last 2 modes in mcplayhd, which were inclined and 1-stack. Incline is a mode that Geklow had a strong history in, but as new strategies had come out for normal modes such as the gain momentum speed tellies and 1.05 4-block flats, Geklow began to realize that he could implement these strategies and be able to get even faster times on incline, and that's exactly what he did.
It's hard because you don't have to use the gain keystrokes to gain momentum, so it's really easy to jump over the speeds.
So it takes a lot more attempts then before you get...
Yeah.
He quickly worked his way down from a 5.45 to 5.4 and finally a 5.35, which is the current world record. And now Geklow is left with 1 world record to beat. A world record that for months and months was at a standstill, unchanged, and unable to be beaten by any player. And this was the 1-stack mode. If you're unaware what 1-stacking is in Minecraft, it's basically going 1 block out and 1 block up in a staircase pattern. For several months, players didn't believe there was any way to improve upon this bridging method until a very small group of active players decided to change the method entirely and and start utilizing the island that you finish on in order to take off large amounts of time from their bridges. The strategy they use is called a head hitter, which is not something unseen before in bridging, but these players were using it to make themselves jump up and down faster. That way they could achieve higher heights in a shorter amount of time. Players would try to go as low as possible on the island in order to get as many head hitters as they could as they went up, and Geklo decided to take the innovation one step farther and decided to use speed telly to get as low as he could underneath the island, which is something that to this day no player has ever done successfully before, and this allowed him to get the world record of exactly 11 seconds.
Speeds are just to get lower, so you can do more head hitters. It's like really optimized right now.
And every head hitter saves a tick, right? So the more you do, it's just like that's
every head hitter saves 2 ticks.
2 ticks, oh jeez. And now with 4 concurrent records under his belt, Geklo is easily the #1 bridger, but I had to get a deeper scoop because I believe that this is not over yet and there is still room for improvement. And in order to confirm my theory, I did the only reasonable thing I could think of, which was to contact Geklo and get into an interview with him to find out the truth. So first things first, what modes do you have the record in at the moment?
I have the record in all of the modes. Normal, short,
all of the modes.
Inclined. 1 sec, yeah.
That's crazy. Out of all of those, which was the hardest to like beat, do you think?
Either inclined or short.
I feel like not a lot of people know about incline. What made that so difficult?
It's hard because you don't have to use the gain keystrokes to gain momentum, so it's really easy to jump over the speeds.
And I feel like short mode is more like obviously difficult, just because like, you know, it's so small, like there's not a whole lot you can do to improve the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, it sounds like short mode's like basically at a limit, but do you think that any of the other modes, like 1 stack or even like normal mode, do you think they have lots of room for improvement, or are they also like peaking out now?
Normal has a bit of room, since you could do the chain 4-block strat with a 1.05, and you could get 7.25 with that. 1 stack, 10.8 is possible, but I don't...
Bro, what is doogile doing? So now that you have every record, do you think you have plans to like continue bridging, or are you thinking of like kind of quitting, leaving at a peak? What's your process here?
I want to try and get 5.3 on inclined, since I've been pretty close to getting that, but after I get that, or after I don't, I'll just quit, since bridging's getting kind of boring. What are you doing?
Set you on fire.
This is way worse.
Bro, where are you going? Bro!
I don't want to do this anymore.